Exploding head syndrome, the soundless alarm of the mind. You're lying in bed, the lights are off, the room is still, and slowly you begin to slip beneath the surface of consciousness. That familiar, fragile threshold between waking and dreaming, the in-between. And then, bang. Like thunder cracking inches from your skull, like glass shattering inside your mind. You're ripped from near sleep, heart pounding, breath stolen. You jolt upright, look around, but there's nothing, no sound, no crash, no aftermath, only silence. What you've just experienced is not madness, not imagination. It's a real documented phenomenon. It's called exploding head syndrome. Despite the dramatic name, your head hasn't exploded, but your perception has. This rare and eerie condition affects thousands, maybe millions. And while its name sounds like something from a dystopian novel, it is quietly hiding in the folds of modern neurology. A glitch nestled inside the nightly systems check your brain runs as you prepare for sleep. As your consciousness powers down, neurons shift their cadence. Your brain transitions into sleep mode, reducing sensory input, disengaging voluntary control. But sometimes, something misfires. Instead of drifting gently, your mind triggers a false alarm. It fabricates a blast of sound, a pure hallucination, so vivid, so loud, it feels like the world has ruptured around you. But this alarm doesn't come from your ears. It comes from deep inside your brain. A miscommunication, an echo of an internal process gone slightly wrong. This usually happens during hypnagogia, the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep. Here, the mind walks a tightrope, processing sensory data, managing memories, softening thought. But the neural switchboard isn't perfect. And in that razor-thin moment, the brain sends out a signal, an explosion of perception, not pain, not noise, but a sensory detonation. A psychological thunderclap meant for no one. It doesn't hurt, but it does unsettle, because it violates the trust we place in our senses. You felt it, you heard it, but it was never there. What's stranger still is the personalization of the experience. Some hear a gunshot, others a thunderclap, or a scream, or an alarm. A few describe it as the sound of glass breaking underwater. It's almost as if the brain chooses a signature sound from your personal archive of fear or urgency. Some researchers suspect this is a protective mechanism, a way for the brain to rouse you if it believes something is amiss. But this glitch isn't always born of fear. It can emerge from stress, sleep deprivation, emotional overwhelm, or in rare cases from neurological disturbances like temporal lobe epilepsy or migraines. The common thread? Your brain is stretched, working too hard, overclocked during the hours it should be powering down. And when that delicate circuitry reaches its limits, it sends out a false signal. Not to harm you, but because it thinks you need to wake up. There's a haunting beauty to that. A brain so dedicated to your survival that it creates an explosion, just to make sure you're still awake enough to hear it. But the experience can be traumatic. For some, it repeats nightly. Sleep becomes a minefield. The bed, once a sanctuary, becomes a place of vigilance. You don't fear the dark. You fear the rupture inside it. There's no blood, no physical danger, but the terror is real. And many sufferers find themselves trapped between science and silence. Doctors unfamiliar with the syndrome dismiss it. Friends laugh it off. Just a dream, they say, just your imagination. But how do you explain a moment that felt like reality crumbling around you? Thankfully, there is hope. Exploding head syndrome, despite the name, is harmless. It is not a sign of brain damage, not a precursor to madness. It is a neurological hiccup, often treatable by improving sleep hygiene, managing stress, or in some cases, therapy or medication. But beyond the medicine, there is mystery. What does it mean that your brain can create an explosion out of silence? That it can simulate destruction to warn of nothing? That it can betray your peace without your consent? What else then does it create? What else is whispered in your mind's theater when no one is watching? Exploding head syndrome may be rare, but it's a stark reminder of a deeper truth. Your brain is not a passive observer of the world. It is the architect of your reality, and sometimes it rattles the foundations, just to see if you're still listening. So the next time you're lying in bed and a sudden noise jolts you from the edge of sleep, don't panic. Don't fear the silence that follows. Just know, your mind is still learning where the waking world ends and where the dreaming begins.